Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mowers will practically build themselves.
Hello, folks, it's Mad Dog Merv, and today, well, we are going to go looking for a couple of the old, well, actually three of the old drive-in movie theaters that used to be here in Salt Lake City, but are now sadly gone. And all three of these, I think you'll find kind of interesting. So we'll head up east first to the Cottonwood area, or just outside of Sugar House to I guess they call it the Mill Creek area. You know, drive-in movie theaters have been kind of an important part of growing up for a lot of people since the 1950s. And for myself, well, my parents used to take me quite often, and of course, as a teenager, I went a lot. Once I became an adult, yeah, I'd go every once in a while, but last few years, I haven't gone as often. I guess because I just don't stay up as late at night. This is a photo that a good friend of mine, Ron Starr, Photo Star Photography, took using some of my model cars, and I built the little speaker hangers, and he did this really cool little diorama, made this shot. Great, talented man, and I really appreciate him doing this. So, another part of the photography that he did for me was this model car that I had sitting outside of, quote, the Highland Drive-In. Now, this great picture of the Highland Drive-In we'll look at in a few minutes, but this has a story behind it. Actually, I had a car similar to this that broke down outside the Highland Drive-In as a teenager. So the Highland Drive-In was located on 3670 South and Highland Drive on the west side of the street. It had two screens eventually and would hold 600 cars. Wow. It was opened as the Highland, Hyland, Drive-In on July 1st of 1948 with Esther Williams in Fiesta. The drive-in opened as a single screen. On April 18th, 1962, after a $400,000 remodel and a second screen added, it reopened as the Highland, Highland, on Highland Drive, not too far from Highland High School. The drive-in closed in 1982 and was later demolished. And here's a great picture that I love of this. We'll look at this same spot here in just a few minutes, how it looks today. This is a familiar sight, the lines going to the ticket booth. I spent a few moments in those lines as a teenager. We sure had a lot of fun. A couple of the Cheech and Chong movies that that we went to see as teenagers, and of course I would sneak some of my friends in the trunk of the car. Why not? You know, it was just one of those things we did. I have some great memories of it. Here's a great shot from the newspaper of it being under construction, the first screen. So this one is the one on the east side. This one right here, that would be theater number 1. These pictures here, I believe, are from the early 1980s, either shortly before it closed or shortly after it closed. I'm not sure which. So, yeah, we have a lot of great memories there. And here's the one that faced west. Now, this one, you had to wait till the sun went down and was down for a while before you could really see that screen. But this was theater number 2 on the west side of the property. And the good old snack bar and the projection booth. Spent a lot of time in this snack bar. Remember the layout pretty darn well. They did have some really good popcorn there at the Highland Drive-In. I sure miss that place. Saw some great movies there over the years. So let's take a look from 1964, this aerial view, and there's a few things I want to point out. On the right-hand side is William Penn Elementary, the street that comes down from there. You'll notice at the intersection there with Highland Drive are two buildings in the shape of an E that are laid down flat. That's important. And then just to the right side on Highland Drive, there's 4 buildings, and that fourth building is right in front of the entranceway. So let's take a look at, in modern times, the new William Penn Elementary. Go down the street there, and there's the buildings that are E-shaped. I have a friend who lives in the one that's circled in blue. And then the 4 buildings on the east side of the street, still there, and you can see the entrance, where the entrance would have been to the old Highland Drive-In, and now it's an apartment complex. Very, very sad. And here on the west side of the street, from street view, is that E-shaped building, and gives you some idea of the nice things that are there now. But again, really sad to see the Highland Drive-In go, as so many other things in that Sugar House area that are now gone. So now we're going to move on to the Ranch Drive-In, and this is on the west side of Salt Lake in Magna, located about 7680 west and 2400 south, which is actually just south of the 201, what we call the 201 freeway, which 2100 south. And you can see in this picture here, 201 on the left-hand side, the entrance to the theater and how the theater was laid out. It could accommodate up to 500 cars. It was one screen. It was opened in 1957 officially. However, there is a conflicting thing that says it was opened in 55. You can see from this overhead, the circled area is the mounts or the pillars, I guess, for the screen, and you can see the circled area, the ridges from where you would park your car, and the entranceway there. Here in this entrance, this photo of the entranceway, you can see the road going in here to the ticket booth. Now, was listed as a 500 car capacity, but it had a very short life. It says it was closed in 1960. The snack bar and projection booth, however, were still standing around 2008, and that's, you see those right here from this photo taken in the early 2000s. From what I understand, the screen even stood until about 1971, but by the mid-70s it was gone. But you see this nice field out here. There was, I think it was cows. One guy had some horses. But this sat like this for many, many years. Again, just big open field out here in the Magna area. Now that's changed, and we'll look at that here in just a minute. But look at that old ticket booth. Yep, there's some horses in the background. Out there on 7800 West. Again, the projection booth on the right, and the restrooms and snack bar on the left. I can't remember when exactly they came down, but was in the later 2000s when these were eventually taken down. Pretty good shot of the projection booth. Probably used at this point to house those horses. See the fence in the foreground, and the fence around this building here. Obviously, this was used for some kind of livestock. Really an interesting place out there. But the fact that it was only used for a few years is kind of strange. Anyway, here's how it looks today. That entrance area right here, it's being turned into a big warehouse. So, unfortunately, completely gone, completely obliterated. Another sad tale. And finally today we're going to look at the Valley Vu Theater. Now the Valley Vu was just off of 3500 South and 4800 West in the West Valley area. As an adult, I think the last movie I saw here was actually Apollo 13, believe it or not, when that first came out. I'd been here a few times with my parents, but as an adult, not so much. But towards the end, it became kind of a discount theater. So here's an old picture from the early days. You see 3500 South horizontally there, and vertically is the 4800 West, and you see the entrance. And here was the entrance shortly before they tore it down. So the Valley Vu was opened in July of 1955 with Betty Grable in Three for the Show and Robert Francis in They Rode West. How about that? Certainly the first, it was closed in the end of the season of 1997, from what I understand, and was one of the first ones out here in this West Valley area of Salt Lake City. These great pictures of it shortly before they tore down the infrastructure that was still there. Now this one could house, even though it had one theater screen, it could house up to 900 cars. Wow, that's a big field. Look at that. Holy smoke. Here's an early picture of the projection booth, like the swamp cooler there on the left. Projection booth, snack bar, pretty neat. Looks like it was a lot of cement around that particular area, or not cement, pavement. And here is how it looks today. Again, really a sad, sad statement. At least there are homes built here, and not just apartments or a warehouse, whatever. But there are some homes. So anyway, sad to see this one go. Well, folks, appreciate you checking this thing out. We'll have another installment coming up at some point in time with 3 more old drive-in movie theaters of Salt Lake City. There were plenty of them. So, thanks for